So, in talking about our topic tonight, how to maintain my recovery during the holidays, it's very much about recognizing that my boundaries are the things that bring safety to me, but it's also the thing that helps me stay safe in my relationships. So, it's not anyone's job to follow my boundaries, they're my role, and it's my job to respect my boundaries. And sometimes I have boundaries with people and they don't even know it because it's not required. But I do know that sometimes I make things sound way easier than they are. And I own that because if this process is new to you, one thing that is a huge part of my personal recovery process is realistic expectations. Because one of the first things that I recognized when I entered my program, which is ACA, Adult Child of Alcoholic and Dysfunctional Families, um, was the first couple of years, I just felt like I lived my life going, is this normal? Is this normal? Is this what everybody does? Fuck, I don't know. So realistic expectations, even 18 years into my recovery, are still a huge part of my recovery process. I suffer from perfectionism. I'm recovering codependent. So being what other people need or want me to be is far easier for me than me staying my authentic self. And I hope one day that that shifts. And I hope that me being my authentic self becomes more easier. And the reality is, when I'm in my humanness and my boundaries are being tested, I don't always have the right words either. And I do this for a living. So I like to give realistic expectations when we are in our humanness, what it will look like. Because otherwise I just shame spiral and I weaponize what I do for a living against myself, and it doesn't help. Um, so when we're talking about maintaining recovery during the holidays, first of all, what is recovery? Recovery is working towards my truest and highest self and accepting all the shadow behaviors I needed to survive along the way. In our culture, it views recovery as um, a hallmark or a process for those suffering with substance use and abuse disorders. And although it does absolutely include those individuals, recovery also includes those of us that are just trying to come out of surviving and into thriving. Because as we know, numbing and medicating addiction is a consequence, it's not the problem. Trauma is the problem. Numbing and medicating is all the things I did and do to try to survive what's happened to me. So when I'm trying to recover during the holidays, I mentioned earlier that one of the things I have to remember is when I go home to family of origin, um, for many of my 18 years, that has looked like I'm the only one that's changed. Everybody else looks exactly the same. Everybody else is doing all the same old shit they've always done. And that's fine for them and that works for them. And I'm the one that's changed. I'm the one that's in recovery because in my family of origin, unfortunately, no one else has made it into recovery. So I need to remember that when I go home because I'm the one that can ruffle feathers because my family very much wants me to fulfill my role in the dysfunction. My role in the dysfunction was hero and mascot. I realize that's probably shocking to you guys that know those roles. But if I don't fulfill those roles, the family of origin, my system doesn't work the same way. And they don't know what to do. And they don't have the language to be able to articulate that. So when I own that I'm the one that's changing, not them, I have to own that I might be the one ruffling feathers. And that might be okay. Because there are many what am I trying to sayings? I can't think of words tonight, but there are many sayings or I can't think of what they're called that um just because we're genetically family doesn't mean I have to put up with neglect and abuse. There's no rule that says that. And I'm the one going home no longer tolerating the abuse and neglect. So what they're used to doing and what feels typical to them, I'm coming in saying, no, I don't do it that way anymore. And I have to be okay with that. And I also need some tools to be able to stay in that, because sometimes I can go home to family of origin and I can be in it and in my role before I even realize it. Like I'm already there. I'm already functioning in it. And I'm like, shit, it's already happened. So last week I talked a little bit about living in recovery is living in intention. And the tools that I use and what I bring with me when I'm in family of origin are things that, like my 4-hour window. Usually when I go back to my mom, where my sisters and I usually are together, I want to make sure that the family that my boys experience is the best part of them. Because I still see that, I still feel that, and that's what I still love about them. And what I know is after a 4-hour window, that's not who's showing up anymore. Conflict has happened, alcohol has happened, lots of numbing and people pleasing has happened. And so being intentional is what I talked about last week with those tools of how can I show up in my family of origin and maintain my recovery, knowing my family of origin may not be in recovery or may not have all the access to the resources that I do. I'm not pitying them. I'm not looking down upon them. I'm probably going to be judging them if I'm honest, because I'm human. However, it's also a part of how I protect myself and how I'm differentiating who I am today from who I used to be and how I used to show up in this system, because it was very fluid. We were really good at dysfunction. Not proud of that, and we were pretty masterful, because there was points in our lives where the roles that we fulfilled is what kept us safe. And I say it that way because I'm not ashamed of the roles that I fulfilled. They just don't serve me anymore. They don't allow me to be my truest and authentic self by being a mascot or being the hero. They're the ways that I coped with not feeling. And so today, when I use things like my 4-hour window, or when I'm going into a family gathering with my family of origin, I use things. For me, those things now look like, when I first started recovery, I would call it the turtle shell. And it was this guided imagery that I would put a turtle shell around me so that any of the dysfunction or anything that tried to stick to me would just kind of ping off. And today, because of who I am today and my spiritual growth, I now call that turtle shell the white light of protection. And I have an archangel that I call upon, that I ask to surround me with that white light of protection. And I also am very intentional with what I'm asking for. For example, I don't want to absorb anything that's not mine. I don't want anything to penetrate the bubble that is not in my highest interest. And I only want love and light to be able to come through the bubble. So you can call it a turtle shell. You can call it a white light of protection. You can use with intention any tool that you have that works for you. And if you haven't tried it before, that's okay. It is about trying all of these coping skills or tools, trying them a few times to see what does work for you, because thank goodness we're not cookies. So we're not cookie cutter into recovery. It's very much about what speaks to me, what resonates with me. Well, when I first started recovery 18 years ago, it was a turtle shell because I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Today, because I consider myself a spiritual healer and an intuitive, my language sounds a little different, but the tool is actually the same thing. I've just learned how to use it better. So looking at what do I need to feel safe? And I'm also, you guys know this about me, semantics is really important to me. What I say and how I say things, that's not a therapist thing, that's an Amber thing. And although it's rooted in pathology, it has really bloomed my recovery because when I say things, I want to mean them. I want to say them with integrity. And right now, what I'm wanting to say is when I go home, because um, that would be where my parents were, home. That is not what I believe today. My home is right here where I am. And I'm working really hard to reframe that. I just caught myself. I'm working really hard to reframe that. And rather than saying when I go home for the holidays, when I go to my mom's house for the holidays, that's important to me. The semantics are important because my home is my safe place. And I didn't know growing up that what I had wasn't safe until I even learned that word, emotional safety. So today, for me, in my recovery, semantics are very important. And how I say things and what I say is really important to me. So when I'm speaking to myself or when I'm speaking to others, I just want to make sure that what I'm saying feels right. Because saying where my mom is my home doesn't feel right in my body. It doesn't feel right to me anymore. And part of that is because one thing that we talk about is the people that were supposed to love and protect me may have also been the people that caused harm, intentionally or unintentionally. So to say that that is my home, that's not authentic to me and who I am today. And it's my mom's home. So I'm just owning, I caught myself in that. So I wanted to explain what I was doing. But looking at what I need from a place of intention when I'm going to a gathering with my family is really important to me because I want my inner child to know where I'm going might not feel safe for you, and you don't have to go there. She can stay here, my inner child can stay here with my dogs, whom she loves, and she can be safe and play and color, while Amber, adult self, with all the tools and the resources, goes to visit the family. There's a big difference in how I show up today with my family of origin versus how I would show up before. And if she were with me, that's me falling into the role. Whereas when she gets to stay here, that's how I now keep her safe. And it's also how I don't fall into my role when I'm there because I'm my adult self. I'm not my little girl. She's not driving the bus. So I'll share more of the tool for this at the end. And speaking into how do I maintain my recovery while around family of origin looks like using my tools with intention. And it looks like recognizing the difference in how I show up this year versus last year. When you think of a tool for this, how do I maintain my recovery when I am with family of origin? My intention and my hope for you was to stay internally focused. Remember, I don't have control over anything out here. I can't change anyone else's behavior. The only thing I can influence and the only thing I can do something about is me and my feelings. And I know we talk a lot about grief this time of year, and I know several of you shared about that. I just want to give you permission to remember that in recovery, we can actually be in more than one feeling at the same time. I can be in a state of joy and have grief because I didn't get all that I needed. My pathology is what tries to convince me that it's all or nothing. I can only be in one thing at a time. But my recovery lets me know that I can be really grateful for this safe space that I now call home. And I can also be really sad when I go to my mom's house and I recognize that I don't call that home anymore. I can be in both at the same time. And when I do go home, if this hasn't been a part of your recovery journey yet and it's new for you, or you're still learning or understanding what inner child or inner teen means, that's okay. If there's a part of you that doesn't want to go, or maybe there's a part of you that it's overexcited to go, that was my little girl. It was, I share pretty frequently, it wasn't too long ago that a therapist said to me, Amber, how much longer are you going to wait for her? I told you that therapist pissed me off because she was right. I, I could still be waiting for her if she didn't say that to me. And I didn't even realize that I was. So waiting for her meant that I wasn't taking the responsibility to heal me. And so if there's that part of me that doesn't feel safe to go, or maybe has these unrealistic expectations, it's okay for me to leave her or him at home where they are safe, coloring, playing. Remember, our inner child, our inner teen lives in our subconscious. So they don't know when we go and come back. They don't have this um, abandonment feeling. When we go to visit them or when we're connected with them, they think we're just in the other room. There is no abandonment. So when I leave her here, she knows that she's safe because she's with the Bernies, right? All four dogs, the snail, the two snails, and the fish. Yeah, all the animals that my boys have. And she likes it here. This is her safe space. With my family of origin, that's not her safe space. That's all of her trauma triggers. So just the invitation to see what it would be like if my adult self is the only one that goes, because I'm the one with all the resources. I'm the one with the voice. She doesn't have those. And one last one, if you're open to this, and if energetic isn't your word, fill it in with whatever word is yours. But if you've done a workshop with me, or you've done a group with me, or you've done even an intensive with me, there are times where I've asked you, wipe that off. Get it off. That's not yours. There's something about that that's not serving you anymore, or it's not part of your identity, or it's something that was put on you rather than something that is you. So if that's a part of your tradition or your family gathering, that as you're leaving, it feels like something's coming with you, wipe it off. If you believe in smudging, smudge. If you believe in lighting a candle for fire energy, light a candle. Whatever your thing is that speaks to you in cleansing or clearing, know that whether it's at your house or whether you're going somewhere else, that energy that's not yours, you don't have to keep it. And that is a part of intentionality, is whatever is mine, I ask to be removed. Or whatever is not mine, I ask to be removed. And whatever belongs to me, I ask to bring it back. Right? So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope that